Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, snowflakes fell gently from the sky like feathers. A kind queen sat by a black window frame, sewing quietly. When she accidentally pricked her finger, 3 drops of red blood fell onto the white snow. As she looked at the contrast of red on white, she made a heartfelt wish. She wanted a child with skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony wood. Not long after, her wish came true. She gave birth to a baby girl who looked exactly like her wish. She named the baby Snow White, but happiness didn't last long. The queen became very sick and passed away soon after giving birth. A year later, the king remarried. His new wife was beautiful, but proud and jealous. She had a magical mirror that always told the truth. Every day, she would ask, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" And the mirror would always answer, "You are my queen." That made her happy. But as Snow White grew older, she became more and more beautiful. By the time she turned 7, she was even more lovely than the queen. One day, when the queen asked the mirror, it replied, "You are beautiful, my queen, but Snow White is 1,000 times more beautiful than you." The queen was shocked and angry. From that day, she couldn't stand to look at Snow White and grew more jealous with every passing moment. Finally, the queen decided to get rid of her stepdaughter. She called a huntsman and ordered him to take Snow White deep into the forest and kill her. She demanded that he bring back Snow White's heart and liver as proof. The huntsman took the young girl far into the woods. But when he saw her helping an injured bird and realized how kind she was, he couldn't do it. Instead, he let her go. "Run away and never return," he said. Then he killed a wild boar and brought its heart and liver back to the queen, pretending they belonged to Snow White. Alone and scared, Snow White wandered deep into the dark forest. She didn't know where to go. Thorns scratched her, and strange animals circled her, but none hurt her. As the sun began to set, she saw a small, tidy house. Inside, everything was tiny. 7 little beds, 7 little chairs, and 7 small plates with food. She was hungry and tired, so she ate a little bit from each plate and tried every bed until she found one that fit. Then she fell asleep. That night, the owners of the house came home, 7 dwarfs who worked in the mountains digging for gold and iron. When they saw Snow White sleeping, they were surprised but touched by her beauty. They let her stay. In the morning, Snow White told them everything. How the queen wanted to kill her, how the huntsman spared her, and how she ended up in their cottage. The dwarfs were kind and said she could live with them if she promised to cook, clean, and keep their home tidy. She agreed with a smile and began a peaceful life with them. But back at the castle, the queen still believed Snow White was dead. One day, she asked her mirror again, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" And the mirror replied, "You, my queen, are fair, it's true, but Snow White, who lives with the 7 dwarfs, is still more beautiful than you." The queen was furious. She realized the huntsman had tricked her. Her heart filled with rage, and she made a wicked plan. She dressed up as an old woman and made a magical lace belt. Then she climbed 7 mountains and reached the dwarf's cottage. Snow White opened the door a little and saw a kind-looking old woman. The woman offered to tie the belt for her. But as soon as she pulled it tight, Snow White fainted. The queen laughed and left, believing she had won. Luckily, the dwarfs returned just in time. They saw the tight belt and quickly cut it. Snow White woke up, gasping for air. The dwarfs warned her, "Never open the door to strangers again." The queen asked the mirror again, but it still said Snow White was the fairest. This time, the queen made a poison comb and disguised herself once more. She knocked on the cottage door, pretending to sell hair accessories. Snow White refused to let her in, but the woman offered to comb her hair through the window. The moment the comb touched her head, Snow White fell unconscious again. When the dwarfs returned, they found her on the floor, pulled the comb from her hair, and she woke up slowly. They begged her to be extra careful from now on. Still, the mirror told the queen that Snow White was alive. Furious, she went into a secret chamber and made her deadliest weapon, a poisoned red apple. Only one bite could kill. She disguised herself again and returned to the cottage. This time, Snow White refused to open the door. But the queen said, "Look, I'll eat half of the apple, and you can have the other half." The poison was only in the red side. Snow White saw the woman eat and thought it was safe. She took a bite and fell to the ground. When the dwarfs came home, they found her still and lifeless. They washed her face and tried everything, but nothing worked. Snow White was dead. The dwarfs couldn't bear to bury her, so they made a glass coffin and placed her inside. Her skin still looked soft and fair, and her lips were still red. They placed her on a mountain and took turns watching over her. One day, a prince from another kingdom got lost in the woods. He saw the glass coffin and read the golden letters, Snow White, a princess. He fell in love with her just by looking at her peaceful face. He asked the dwarfs if he could take the coffin back to his castle. At first, they refused, but when they saw his sadness and heard how much he cared, they finally agreed. As the prince's men carried the coffin, one of them tripped over a root, causing the coffin to shake. That movement made the piece of poisoned apple fall from Snow White's throat. She opened her eyes and sat up. The prince was overjoyed. "You're alive," he cried. "Come with me to my palace. Be my queen." Snow White smiled and said yes. A grand wedding was planned, and everyone in the land was invited, even the wicked queen. Before the queen left, she asked her mirror again, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" The mirror said, "You are beautiful, my queen, but the young queen is more beautiful than anyone." The queen's heart sank. When she arrived at the wedding and saw Snow White, alive and radiant, she froze in fear. Her punishment was ready. She was forced to wear red-hot iron shoes and dance until she fell down, never to rise again. Snow White and the prince lived happily ever after.